Hey there, Trekkers and Trekkies. So, today we're still working on Deep Space Nine, but we're only going to work on a small piece. We're not going to be working on the big piece, hence why it's not taking up a massive spot right here. So, what we are going to do is the bar back for Quark's Bar. Now, a few years, I can't remember who sent this to me a few years ago. Well, it wasn't this exact version, and I'll explain that in a second. Somebody sent me this backdrop piece for Quark's Bar, and it was actually quite accurate. You're probably looking at this going, something doesn't seem right. So, because of the amount of space that's in mine, I had to actually trim off a little bit on the ends. There's supposed to be two more view screens here. I had to take that off. Basically, I had to trim off about 1.5 inches from it. So yeah, what I'm going to do is we're going to use these as pieces of the cardboard box that some the little bags of potato chips that come in, tortilla chips in this case, that we had gotten for party a while back. I cut them into strips, and that will be the depth of the shelving. And actually, I'll go ahead and show you. So Triple Fiction makes these. I've got a whole bunch of them. I ordered a bunch of them from them. They're actually the antimatter containment pods for the Defiant, but I'm going to use them. I've got a few of them. I've got at least enough to put up here. They're going to end up on that top shelf as those kegs, which is part of where I got the size for these. This way they'll stick out over the edge by just a tiny bit. So yeah, what I'm going to do, we're going to cut out the shelves, get them all assembled, kind of like putting together a tiny cardboard bookshelf. And then we're going to I'm going to print this out again on a sticker sheet, so that I can have this screen and this piece here as a big sticker that'll get stuck onto the front. And hopefully it'll look like a shelf when we're done. So, let's get to work. So, basically, all of this first part is just measuring and cutting. I'm going to start with the outsides, the top, bottom, left, and right side walls, and build everything into that. One thing I kind of didn't account for as I was going is that the pieces of cardboard that I was using were actually thinner than the like bars or shelves that are in the picture. So I had to, at one point I actually did have to completely recut a piece because it was just too short. You'll see that come up in a few minutes. But yeah, that's pretty much all this is just cutting shelves and trying to get them to line up. I think it's actually, yeah, these two pieces here were the ones that, because the width is different, it wasn't quite right. So I put in those bottom rungs. Sorry, you can't see what I'm doing. I realized, and I was like, oh, let me tilt this back a little bit so you can kind of see a little bit of what I'm doing, but still, And yeah, this is where I was starting to put that in, and I can't get it to line up on the side. If I glued it to one side, it left a gap on the other. So I pulled it out, cut another piece that was about a 1/4 inch longer, and that fit much better. I wish I'd have used some kind of squaring piece or something, because some of these pieces are, you can see that they're bowed slightly, and I never did get them straightened out. So the whole shelf is just a tiny bit wonky bowed, but it's not bad. I like the way it ends up, so it's okay. So again, measuring out the shelves. Now, to go ahead and explain some of what happens later on in the video, I did, mistakes get made, and you just, you have to move on with it. And one of the mistakes I made was when I got to the where the little view screen panels are. I take and well, I should explain where the replicators and the view screens are. I take a piece of cardboard and I completely cover that part of the shelving unit, and I accidentally covered that little shelf that was above the view screens there on the left. There's you see a little cubby hole underneath where that blue bottle is sitting. That was not intentional. It was an accident, and so I actually you can't really tell too badly in the video, hopefully, but I did pause and I actually went into Photoshop and re-edited the picture to add one of the view screens. There's a blank sort of panel that Cork has there to fill in that gap. So that covered that. And no, I didn't worry about trying to give the replicators, having a hole go back for the replicators. They're just, it's a surface look, and that's fine. I just wanted to have the shelving units available to look like shelves. So yeah, this is what I'm talking about. This here, and what's bad is I just completely ignored it. I made the little top L shelf and just completely ignored where that cubby hole shelf is. Don't know why, but it's fine. It's what I did. Realized that using my big chubby fingers wasn't all that advantageous, so I started using the end of a pen to sort of do the job to hold that in place. This glue, it does kick pretty fast, thankfully, but sometimes it takes being held for about 25-30 seconds just to get it to stay. So yeah, putting in that little shelf there. One thing I wish I had thought of, because I had taken and the little bottles and cups and stuff that came with the figures, I separated them beforehand, and I wish I had actually used them to measure the shelves out. I didn't think about that. So only a few of the bottles that came with like the figures I was able to actually use on the shelf, because most of these shelving units are too short for the bottles. Of course, the bottom there, that second from the bottom shelf, is just tiny. I don't know why you couldn't get anything on that really, but oh well. It works out. Of course, I don't know what Cork even would do with these little triangular shelves that have, because there's two of them. There's that one, and then there's another one over where the angled shelves are. I don't know what Cork is supposed to use this for. I guess you could put little shot glasses in there sitting sideways or something, but you can't fit anything in those. So, anyways, getting these angled pieces was probably some of the hardest parts to do, because they're odd. And I do sort of change up the way that the shelves line up in the corner piece. I realized that trying to do it the way that it looks like on the picture that I have wouldn't have really worked. So I decided to sort of change the angle and go from the middle straight to the corner. And you'll see me do that here in just a minute. Getting that piece to hold still. Oh, that was a challenge. But just holding it for a few minutes, eventually rubbing the partially dried glue on the outside of the nozzle onto there actually did tend to help. And then just reinforcing it. So yeah, here you'll see I took and I just decided to go straight to the corner. I think it looks better this way. Especially because see that I did have to cut a little bit off of the right side of the shelf. So it makes it look better here. And then I cut the little corner shelf there. And then trying to struggle to get that to go in place. And then I did the bottom shelf in a similar way, getting it all held in place. So I did paint everything off camera. After I got it assembled, I took it outside, did a primer coat, and then the primer was actually a blue. So when you see it, it's silver, but it does have a sort of a cool blue undertone. If that would be explained why. But yeah, I painted the whole thing silver. To give it the sort of metallic shelf look. But because the boards aren't very thick, here I am. I'm totally ignoring that shelf. Just gonna cover right over it. And I did notice that gap where the corner shelf lines up, and I went back and added a piece on the back side. So yeah. Now here's me putting in all the stickers. I decided to actually take and use the shelves. I did a little bit of Photoshop on the shelves, stickers, and put those in so that it would both create sort of that white light background look, but also the pictures of the bottles would sort of fill in for for anywhere where I don't have bottles at. Getting the backs off of some of my stickers was a little bit difficult too. That's what I was struggling with off camera, was getting those. So anyways, yeah, so that way it, kind of gives the illusion that there's bottles back there either way. And I know some of them I didn't get on exactly straight. It's hard working in those tiny little spaces, but did what I could. Some of the shapes were kind of wonky, but got it all to line up the best I could and look like bottles on a shelf. And I decided to save the two big ones for last. If you're wondering, oh, why is he struggling with all those and not getting to the big reveal? But hopefully you can kind of see where the communications piece is, how I added that blank screen at the top. On the one at Quarks, it's actually on the lower right hand corner, but this way it kind of represents everything there. So yep, and there's the last sticker and me measuring. Okay, well, there it is. There is the completed bar back replicator and communications little console that Quark has behind the bar. I know I don't have my Quark out. It's I keep Worf by my desk all the time, and just happen to have this Jake here, so I was just like, I'll throw him in so you can get this sense of scale. And yes, I did make the stickers with the bottles, the pictures of the bottles on there. That way, if I don't have anything on there, which I do plan on, I'm gonna make some bottles and use some of the little ones that came with the figures. But this way it will actually look like there are, bottles kind of in the background. But also having the white background kind of helps to make where the light is, because obviously I'm not putting a light in behind here. Can't really afford that with this kind of setup, but going cheap, this isn't the big 3D printed rig with all the fancy bells and whistles. But that's it for this week. Next week, in the next DS9 video, I'm not sure. I think That one I'm gonna work on the airlock. I think that's where we're at on that. Gonna try and get that sorted and put together. Okay, I will see you next time. Until then, go make something. I want to say a special thank you to my first Patreon member, Alan Young. Thank you for helping me keep this going. If you enjoy my videos and want to see more, please like, share, subscribe, and ring the bell icon. If you want to support me, you can find me on Patreon or go over to Zazzle for prints of my artwork, t-shirts, and other cool stuff. If you're still here, why? Do you want to jam out?